What's up, everybody? It's Coach Dave, and I lift.
Coach Carol, I also lift. Welcome to the She Lifts.
He Lifts podcast, and tonight we are talking about our diets, and most importantly, it is the battle of the diets. Tonight we're talking about some of the most popular diets out there, and we're not going to get into the crazy stuff like remember the 80s, the grapefruit diet?
Yeah, okay, no, we're not even going
that.
there. No.
I feel like that
No.
we don't have to go that far. But we're going to talk about things like low carb, low calorie, keto, and things like that, and really get into what's good, what's bad, things that you shouldn't do. And I'm even going to probably, in some of these cases, make small arguments that in the short term, that they can actually benefit you. So, Carol,
Okay.
let's talk about
I'm so excited to talk about this stuff. You have no idea. I mean, like, y'all, I do notes, and there's like 9 pages of notes. We don't have time for that. But it is like I like to do the research. So let's talk about, first of all, what what most people think. Everyone wants instant gratification, right? That's why Slim Fast was made years ago. Oh, just drink these shakes and eat a meal and you're going to lose weight. Yeah, no duh, right? Because you're not eating. Okay. Y'all know I'm a huge proponent of real food, whole food, unprocessed food. Eat your calories. Anyway, if you do these instant gratification diets, you're probably going to yo-yo diet a lot. People who lose weight quickly are much more likely to regain it over time than people who do it slowly through less drastic changes and physical activity. Notice I said and. No diet that tells you you don't need to work out, just eat this amount of calories and whatever. Red flag. Okay, so let's blow through them really quickly. You've got very low calorie diet and low calorie diets, and believe it or not, there's a difference. On a very low calorie diet, you better be medically supervised. That is as few as 800 calories a day. Okay, it has to be medically supervised. People with extreme obesity can do that. And I'm talking extreme. I'm talking like my 600-pound life, okay? Because their body will consume itself to sustain. That is not the average person, okay? Mamas out there, you want to lose 10 to 20 pounds. For the love of God, please don't do something so stupid, okay? So I'm a little charged today.
You are like right. I was last week.
Right, okay. But then there's a low calorie diet. That is 1,000 to 1,200 calories a day for women, 12 to 16 for men. You still should be medically supervised, not someone who says they're a coach selling you food products. They are not medically supervising you. Okay, enough said about that. I made it like 2 minutes without referencing. Okay, low calorie diets may use a mix of meal replacements and regular food. No bueno. If you don't have a doctor, don't do that.
So I'm going to throw one caveat in there. A meal replacement is not a protein shake.
Correct.
Okay, that is not a meal replacement. Some people use it and I have used it as a snack replacement.
As a snack replacement, not a meal.
Throughout my day.
Not all of your meals.
No, and not all of my meals, yes.
Okay. So then I'm going to go into the next 2 that are pretty hot topic. Time restricted eating and intermittent fasting. Now, people can argue with me over the benefits of intermittent fasting, but again, if you don't know your body, do you have typically low blood sugar like me? Intermittent fasting, I feel like I'm going to die. It's not healthy. It doesn't work well for my body. Time restricted, it's becoming increasingly more popular. It's kind of compared to fasting, but they're actually a little bit different. That's the number of hours a day you can eat, like a 16-8. So you eat all of your meals during an 8-hour period, like say 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And the rest of the time you eat nothing. You just drink water. Okay, in the long run, are you going to lose some weight? Probably. In the short term, though. And then after a while, that's not going to work anymore. Same thing with intermittent fasting. You go to bed, you get up, and you say, okay, I'm not going to do anything but water and black coffee until 1 o'clock in the afternoon, or whatever your time frame is. Now, are there some benefits to that? There's some people that claim, but I don't think there's enough research to support it.
So I think I'm going to say this, and the intermittent fasting thing, and I'm not a big proponent of it either, because I am one of the people that has to, I have to eat within like 30 minutes of waking up in the morning. Like the idea of doing fasted cardio in the morning is even a horrible idea for me, because that's 30 minutes that I can't eat.
Right.
However, I know people that have done that and it works for. Two things I'm going to say about that. If
obesity, sure.
Obesity, and again, we're not talking about extreme obesity. We're talking about someone who needs to lose 100 or more pounds.
Right.
And we're not talking about, and we're also not, we are actually kind of talking about the people that want to lose 10 to 20. But for the large part, I'm going to start in that, somewhere in that 20 to 100 window. I feel like most of this stuff is going to apply. Two things I'm going to say, and for anything we've talked about so far, except for very low calorie, except for that one, I am absolutely not a proponent for that one unless you are, like you said, medically supervised and dealing with extreme obesity and also psychological food issues.
Right.
So that like I said, you said reference My 600-Pound Life and those types of shows.
Right.
Those types of people. I'm not for that for very low calorie for any person who's not in that category. But beyond that, whatever's going to get someone started, for the short term, and again, I can't stress that phrase enough, for the short term, what is going to get you started, I am for.
Okay, then I would say those two things, intermittent fasting and time restricted eating, may be an option for you.
Right.
Short term.
Okay.
Knowing that after about 12 weeks, you're going to have to switch it up. You can't eat that way forever.
Right.
I mean, you just
And
can't.
if you're in the beginning 12 weeks, and if you're in that fitness journey and you're stuck in a rut and you want to go to a time restricted eating or an intermittent fasting,
try it out.
Try it out to see if it works, again, in the short term to get you through that plateau. Okay.
I'll buy that.
Okay.
All right, here's the big one. And my head will explode because I've done this and I did it correctly. How many people go, I'm sorry, I can't eat that because I eat keto. No, you don't.
Not everyone plays with their hair like that when they do that.
Yes, they do. So here's the thing. If you're doing true keto and you're not checking your blood every day, you're not in ketosis. And you know why? People are like, okay, well, I use the strips that I pee on and they show me the level. Guess what stops registering after a while? The ketones in your urine. Okay. So if you are testing only that way, you're not accurate. Test your blood. Nutritional ketosis is very scientific. And here's why it works. Because you lose water weight. We've talked about this before. Because here's keto. True keto is 70 to 80% fat. Most people don't do this right. It is moderate protein. Moderate is not high protein. You're not going to be eating a lot of protein on a keto diet. And of course, very, very low carb. Now, there's some buzz out there that short term, that does it help brain fog? Does it do this? I've done it. I did nutritional. I did it correctly. Did I have less brain fog? Yes. Was I leaner? Yes. I did it for like 9 months. Okay. I did it to fight inflammation. Did it work? Jury's out on that, folks. So I'm not even sure. So here's the thing.
But you did it, again, if you're doing it to fight inflammation, the jury is out. But all those other things that you said about it.
Right. But my triglycerides went up.
Okay.
And they had always been historically low.
Okay.
My bad cholesterol did go up.
Okay.
In the long term, okay, short term, I'll buy it. Short term, you want to get over a plateau, I'll buy it.
But
it's hard to maintain.
So I was going to say, you're getting ahead of me on this one, because I was going to actually say, if you are going through the plateau, or like I said, I go into what we're going to talk about in a minute, is a low carb diet, or you're getting ready for a wedding, you go to the beach, those types of things. I am not for keto, and I'll tell you why. For two reasons. First of all, keto, more so than I think a low carb diet, is that you are going to, once you go off of it, you tend to gain that weight back really quickly, more so than any other quote unquote diet.
Sure.
Secondly, keto is the exact thing that I sort of coach against when it comes to nutrition, and that is excessive tracking. So because you can't screw up. Right. It requires a lot of, like you said, scientific mathematics, laying out your meals, rather than, like I said, I've talked about this before on this, and if I can, I will link it. Find it. I'll link it in the episode where I talk about the clock, where quarter of the portion of your plate from 12 to 3 o'clock would be your starchy carbohydrates, your rices, your pastas, things like that. The biggest portion of your plate from 3 to 8 would be your protein, and then the last portion is going to be filled in with your vegetables.
Right.
When you're in keto, you can't do not even taking the part, if you can't just eyeball shit.
You
have to really measure it, and that's where I don't like any diet that makes you do that.
Okay, so like if you want to be educated, then let's talk a little bit more about it, because it is that scientific. So it, on average, you're looking at 2 to 3 days to get into ketosis. So the average person who likes to eat really well during the week and wants to do keto during the week, when you go out on the weekend and you have your first beer, guess what? You're not in ketosis anymore. And guess what? It's going to take you another couple days to get back in it. And you're going to keep derailing what you're trying to do. And in that way, then you're not eating a healthy keto lifestyle. You're eating really high fat, low protein crap if you're doing all butter, cheese, and bacon, folks. And that is also not a healthy way to do keto. There's better ways, right? But like you butter is good. Okay. I won't even go into what my keto breakfast used to be. It was literally 485 calories of pure fat. There was no protein in it, and it involved coffee. And it was, I mean,
you like the butter in the coffee.
It was the Kerrygold butter in there. It was coconut oil and something else, and it was just pure. Heavy cream. It was 485 calories of pure fat. Was I hungry? No.
That's some Starbucks shit right there.
I did it. It was like worse, but I did it right. Okay, and by doing it right, I mean that I followed the protocols, and I did know that I was in nutritional ketosis. But here's the thing. It's difficult. It's difficult to stay in it. If your threshold of carbs, and it's different for every person's body, if it is net carbs, 20 grams a day, that is nothing, folks. And that's about what my body needed to stay in ketosis. If I went over 20 grams of net carbs, I was out of ketosis like that.
I remember, so I tried keto for like 3 weeks immediately post-COVID.
Okay.
Like when the gyms worked back up, because I had spent a little too much time unemployed and hanging out and playing video games and doing a bunch of things. But I did it, and it kind of worked. But first of all, I don't think I was really doing keto. I think I was just doing a low carb.
Okay.
So that's one. Secondly, the thing that I really didn't like about it is sort of like you said, it becomes a lifestyle. And the goal of any nutrition program, whether it is to make it your lifestyle, it is to make it your norm. When you are in keto, yes, it's easy to make it your norm, but part of being a norm, as Carol likes to talk about balance all the time, you can't have that balance. I am that guy. I'm not going to admit. Saturday night rolls around, I have my cheat meal, or as I know you hate that word, but my cheat meal, usually it includes at least a small amount of alcohol.
Okay.
So, and again, there's nothing wrong with it, but if I were doing keto, it would take me right out of ketosis.
It's not worth it. So here's the other thing. The keto diet has been shown to produce beneficial metabolic changes in the short term, okay? It is extremely hard to maintain. We've talked about that. Negative side effects of a long-term ketogenic diet, here's where my stats are, include, these are things that they have found out by studying it, includes increased risk of kidney stones and osteoporosis, increased blood levels of uric acid, which is a factor for gout. Okay, that's very painful. Nutrient deficiencies arise if a variety of recommended foods are not included. And let's face it, they are. You're not going to have beans or legumes. You're not going to have a lot of other stuff. Okay, so it's just not, it's not the best choice. Available research on keto for weight loss, like there was a reason it was developed, and it was for seizure disorders. Okay, if you don't have seizures, try something else. Okay, research is still limited on weight loss. Most of the studies so far have only had a small number of participants, short term, 12 weeks or less, which is garbage for a study, and no control group. Okay, low carb, your favorite topic.
So this is where I'm going to say this is where and this is why, again, when I say I am pro if it gets you started, because this is what got me started. Okay, this is also what I use when I'm in competition mode, and I'm cutting for about 4 weeks, then because again, short term, okay, the biggest reason that a low carb diet works is because we cut out the things that we talk about that we know aren't good for us.
That we love.
That we love.
Are not good for us.
And again, they're not bad for us. They are unhealthy. The processed sugars.
Right.
Okay? The overly processed carbohydrates, the simple carbohydrates, the things that do cause you to store more body fat.
Sure.
The highly calorically dense in small volume food gets cut out. We cut out the Oreos. We cut out the ice cream.
Yeah.
We cut out the what else? The Reese's peanut butter cups, the potato chips.
Right.
Those types of things. So we come down to meat and vegetables. Awesome. Again, short term, that will provide water loss. First of all, you're sort of getting that other stuff off your mind. Secondly, you are also causing yourself to lose water weight.
We said that in the first episode. I think carbohydrate. It hydrates your cells. You hold water.
The other thing is, a lot of those things also tend to have, especially potato chips and those crunchy things, tend to have a shit ton of salt. So you end up not retaining as much water. Not that salt is bad for you. We've talked about that before. But it is one of those things that can cause a short-term spike in your weight loss.
So I think people think low carb is a magic bullet because if you eat a standard Western diet, which is awful, including French fries, potato chips, this, that, and the other, like white bread, it's all the stuff that is not the best for us. If you stop doing that and say, I'm going to eat low carb, and you eat low carb is generally anything under 100 to 150 grams a day, by the way. So that's what low carb is. So you think it's magic because you cut out the garbage and suddenly you lose a few pounds, you lose some water weight. Okay.
Now, I will say also this, and I'm going to throw this one in there too. In my standard nutrition, I do eat carbs. However, there are some things I eat that are quote unquote low carb tortillas. I use 647 bread, which is marketed as a low carb bread, because I'm reducing my calories, so I can put those calories.
It also has high fiber in it.
Well, it does.
That's
so a
why
lot of those
low carb.
Right? It's low net carb.
Correct.
So it is high fiber, but it also allows me to put those carbs in other places.
Sure.
So like I'll make a burrito. Check out Coach Dave's Country Kitchen. I will make a burrito that is full of rice and beans in a low carb burrito shell. So now I'm having my burrito.
I do the same.
Right.
So again, we can't vilify carbs. That's not what this is. So there is, again, evidence that I love. I love evidence that a low carb diet may help people lose weight more quickly than a low fat diet. Okay. That was also a craze. We're not even going into that one.
Ooh.
So pounds lost, which is preventing overweight, using novel dietary strategies, it did a 2-year head-to-head trial comparing different weight loss strategies. And they found that healthy diets that varied in proportions of different macronutrients, carbs, protein, and fats, worked equally well in the long run. And there was no speed advantage for one over the other.
So that is correct. And again, I don't feel like I will, again, not in the long term. In the short term, yes, like I said, your wedding, your vacation. The other thing I want to say about this, if you take about you competitive bodybuilders, you weight sensitive athletes like myself, take that part out of those guys out of the equation. But those of you who are going on a quick fix diet, even if you're on a fitness journey, even if you have made progress, but if you're going on a quick fix for a wedding or a vacation, think about this. What could you have done differently in all of the months leading up to that vacation so you didn't have to do that, and you could be eating and training and doing your normal routine right up until the day you leave? Okay? I often think about that when I hear someone say, especially when I hear people say who I know work out, who I know I see at the gym, oh, I'm cutting out I'm cutting my carbs so I can get ready because we're going to a wedding or we're going to the Bahamas next week and I want to wear this special bathing suit for my significant other. If I want to, I always ask you, think about that. What could you have done differently? And maybe the answer is nothing. Maybe the answer is nothing. But 9 times out of 10, if we take a step back and look at that, then we should be really able to go where we need to go.
All right, so we're going to wrap it up. I will tell you that there's studies out there that have examined the efficacy, and over the long term, again, there's no additional benefit. It is really about balance. If you learn how to balance your macronutrients and you work with a coach and they help you through the different plateaus of quote unquote dieting or adjusting your nutrition, and then work on your maintenance plan to keep you where you want to be, you're going to be better off than any of these gimmicks in the short term, which can cause all kinds of issues. By the way, long-term studies show complications such as heart arrhythmia, cardiac contractile function impairment, osteoporosis, kidney damage, increased cancer risk, and lipid abnormalities are all linked to long-term restriction of carbohydrates. Keep that in mind. You're not helping your body in the long term just to lose a little bit of water. In the short term, do it. Okay, short term, and then get back on.
What's your definition of short term?
To me, 12 weeks would be max.
Okay, I'm not even going that long, but okay.
But I'm saying that would be max. I just don't think you can do it. I want to end with this. So for people who do these extreme diets, losing more than 1 to 2 pounds a week is not safe for most people. It can cause you to lose muscle, bone density. It also can cause gallstones, fatigue, all these other things. Like, it's just not worth it. Slow and steady and balance. You should be able to have the beer, have whatever, and still continue to lose body fat. That is all I have to say.
I'm going to say this. So as I usually end these on a rant. I
ranted a lot today.
I know this was your time to shine, girl. I'm going to say this though. So I am a fan of whatever gets you started, but at the end of the day, there is no magic bullet. There is no special pill. There was at one time they called it ephedra and it killed you. I
did fen diet.
God,
I have a heart
arrhythmia. That is way long ago.
Yes.
Ephedra is after fen. But there is no magic. And again, I don't know how many more times and how many more fitness influencers, and I'm talking the good fitness influencers, the ones who have accurate information. How many of us need to say that before you understand that there is no magic bullet? That it is diet is a balanced diet, balanced with exercise. It doesn't mean you have to go out and hit a deadlift PR every other week that you walk into the gym. It doesn't mean you have to go and become a bodybuilder, an athlete. It means prioritize your health. And I think last week and this week, that was a big thing that we've made, is prioritize your health.
Yep.
Fad diets are just that, fads. That's why the things like Atkins has come and gone. South Beach has come and gone, which is the thing that got me started. Keto is starting to fade away. Paleo, carnivore, again, and then we can go into the really crazy stuff like the grapefruit diet and the avocado diet and the blah 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 blah. I could go on and on, but at the end of the day, do what works for you, and that's going to lead you into that healthy lifestyle. Again, it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. Until next week, when we are going to come back, it is episode number 30, so that means it is 5 on 5, and we are going to talk about some pet peeves of ours in the gym.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. We're going to talk about some pet peeves in the gym, both from an exercise standpoint and an etiquette standpoint. So we're each going to come up with 5, and we're going to talk about it. So when you start, because there's some things I think that people don't know that are bad gym etiquette.
They don't.
And I'm not even I'm talking about the obvious stuff. I'm talking about like their little things that even like I have learned in my fitness journey.
Yep.
So we're going to talk about that. Until next week, check Carol out at loveyourselfhealthcoaching.com. Follow me on Coach Dave's Country Kitchen on YouTube, Rockstar Fitness on Facebook, dwebster023 on Instagram, and check out the show on Facebook and Instagram, She Lifts, He Lives podcast. And until next week, ladies and gentlemen,